leg bone's connected to the knee bone's connected to the... Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I was just studying for an anatomy test because I'm still a student of physical therapy who's in physical therapy school. What is going on, everybody? Mike Taylor, student physical therapist. I'm here today to talk to you about the knee, and I'm going to let you all in on an inconvenient truth about knee pain. So knee pain has got to be one of the most common things I see in the clinic. It seems like, people young and old all have knee pain, and there's different types. Some people have osteoarthritis, some people have meniscal tears, ACL tears, all sorts of things. But more often than that, I just see very bland, generic knee pain. Usually this pain is kind of centered around the patella, either, superior, more towards your quad, or inferior, more towards the bottom of your leg. And, people just describe they get it when they're lifting weights, when they're squatting, when they're ascending stairs, when they're running, when they're doing all sorts of stuff. It's just this very vague, achy pain, but they don't know what they did. They didn't injure themselves. They didn't have a non-contact football injury like the GOAT, Dalvin Cook. They don't have any of these, crazy injuries. They don't have early osteoarthritis. They just have pain. But why is it? So now I'm going to let you all in on the inconvenient truth about knee pain.
You can't handle the truth.
So the inconvenient truth about most knee pain, at least in young and healthy individuals, is that it's a tissue loading issue, not a tissue damage issue. And so what I mean by that is that the problem is not that there's anything broken or torn or wrong with your knee. The issue is just that the activity and the amount of stress that you're putting through it is greater than what it can handle right now. So this isn't the only way to think about knee pain. There are certainly exceptions to the rule, but the way that I think about it with a lot of these individuals is that you gotta think about where your knee is on your body. Your knee is right between two joints that allow a lot of motion, so you can do stuff like run and kick ass, right? So you got your hip, you got your ankle on either side of the knee. Your knee, on the other hand, does one thing. It flexes and it extends, right? And so what can happen is if our hip and if our ankle are not up to snuff and are not stable enough or not strong enough, our knee kind of gets all that added stress when we're having to stabilize. So, our knee is not supposed to be doing any of this, at least not much. And over time, if it has to do a lot of that, things can get hurt, things can start bugging you, things can be painful. It's not that unusual, it's not that hard to imagine that happening. So that's why when people ask me for what exercise can I do for my knee, I always feel like I'm kind of shortchanging them because usually the exercises are actually for their hip or for their ankle. So now that we've talked about that, what can you do to fix the issue? So the first thing that you can do, and this is not a very scientific answer, but it's the practical one and it's one that I always start with, but for goodness sake, are your quads at least properly stretched out? You wouldn't believe how many people come into my office complaining of knee pain and their quads are so tight that they cannot even get their knee to 90 degrees of flexion. It's not necessarily a cause for pain, but let's think about it here. If your quad is that tight, you can't think that it's not pulling on your knee at least some. So please just stretch out your quads. The second thing we need to do is we need to focus on strengthening and stabilizing our hip and our ankle. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you two exercises I like using to help do exactly that. Okay, so the first exercise is a three-way heel tap. And so what you're gonna do for this, and for all these exercises, I would first advise that you do them either barefoot or in socks, because that way your foot is gonna have to really work with all those intrinsic inside muscles to really keep your foot stable, keep your ankle stable. It's gonna help you build stability from the ground up. So to do the three-way heel tap, what you're gonna do is you're gonna stand on one leg. I'm gonna start on my left. Get yourself nice and level. Ideally, you try to keep your hips in line here. You don't want one going all over the place. So you wanna keep yourself in line. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna do a mini squat forward. Bring your other heel forward, just tap and come back up. And you're gonna go out to the side, tap, and then behind. Tap, just like that. And so as you get better at it, what you can do is you can increase the distance that you're going, so you can go even further forward. It's gonna put you in even more knee flexion there. I obviously need to work on mine. Go again. And back. And so this might hurt at first, and frankly, that's okay. We're adding stress to this joint. We're adding stress where previously there maybe wasn't enough. If you have issues with this, it probably means you need to do more of it, just like I do. And so what you can do then is you can check your other side. And a lot of times people have side-to-side differences, so you can kind of tell pretty quickly what your strong side is going to be. Tap, tap, tap. So in my case, I would say my right is definitely my strong side. Another thing you can do to make it harder is you can get a TheraBand pad here, or you can just get a couch cushion. You throw that down on the ground, you stand on that. Now it's more challenging at the level of the ankle as well. You don't have the firm floor to help support you. So tap, tap, tap. All right, the second exercise I like to give people kind of trains the opposite motor pattern. So before, where we did kind of more of a squat pattern or a lunge pattern, this is more of a hip hinge pattern, helps your deadlift. And so this is gonna be the single leg Romanian deadlift. And so to do this is probably one you've seen done before, but the important thing is that, again, we're doing it barefoot or in socks so that we're really challenging our ankle and our foot muscles. And what you'll do is you'll stand on one foot, get everything nice and tight, squeeze those glutes, try to dip forward, keeping your foot in line with your body, as far forward as you can go. When you're down at the bottom, you're gonna push through your heel, you're gonna try to pull through your hamstrings, just like that. Back down. And back like that. From the front. Up. Up. And the same thing as the last one, you can use the pad to help challenge at the level of the ankle. That's going to make it even tougher to balance. Going to really call upon your hip muscles to really help stabilize you. Just like that. So those exercises there are really just the start. You can get really creative with it and apply these principles to all kinds of different exercises, really make it pretty fun and challenging for yourself. But the important thing is that you're training your legs in a single leg fashion, so unilaterally, and you're challenging your ankle and your hip muscles to help stabilize so that your knee can focus more on what it's good at, things like extending the knee. As far as my recommendations for programming these in, I would probably recommend doing these exercises as a part of a warm-up before a lower body session, and then during your lower body workouts, I would recommend incorporating some single leg work and actually progressively loading it over time. So that could be things like reverse split squats, things like walking lunges. I love doing those, and it really does help build the squat and the deadlift all at once, using them one at a time like that. So there's no hard set rules for how many sets, reps, but I would absolutely recommend that you start using your legs in a unilateral fashion now rather than later to help keep your knee safe, stable, happy, and strong going forward. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and as always, you guys, happy training.